This is the MTPredictor weekly market update for May 12th, and May 12th happens to be, at least here in the US, Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. So let's go, I'll try and go quickly through the analysis. Most people here in the US anyway spending time with their families today, which is as it should be. So here's the Dow. Obviously we're making new all-time highs in the Dow. This is the weekly chart of the Dow future anyway. And you can see we had the weekly decision point, major resistance up here. At least we'll begin around that 15,250 area. We close, I think, at 15,068 in the futures there. We do also have, if I just right click and choose the Elliott wave intermediate pattern, we've gone typical wave 3, and this leg has been about, if I remember correctly now, about 2,500 points. Very similar to this leg and this leg back here. They're all about, I think, 2,500 points or so. So, and it reaches that before you get some type of corrective move there. So we're in that area. We know when we get up to this, at least the bottom end of this 15,250 area, then we'll be in a major weekly resistance. Now that goes all the way up around 16,400, and then you've got your maximum wave 3 up there as well. There is strength on the STF. Doesn't mean that we can't pull back here, but it means if we do come up in here, we may kind of consolidate around a bit before we get a pullback. Again, 16,000 is out there. If we look at that broadening pattern, this 25-year plus broadening pattern, and this happens to be the Dow future, but obviously in the Dow cash as well. This is in technical analysis terms, a potential topping pattern. It is a topping pattern. And so in the futures here, if we connect the trend line at the top here, now it exceeds 16,000, and obviously it goes higher into the future. So depending on if we achieved 16,000 plus tomorrow, we'd be in that trend line resistance. But the longer it takes, the higher that trend line goes out in time. So we'll see where, we'll keep an eye on that, because obviously you can see that is going to be a big level to watch, and it will be roughly in conjunction with this major resistance area, and then we'll see what other swings form subsequent to this one. So if I just project down wave 4 here, let's do that. Down wave 4, just a couple clicks, and this gives us the wave 4 support. So back down around 14,000, if we get a correction, would be the logical area for them to pull back into and find support. And then we'll see, we can then project wave 5 up, which may come close to that 16,000 area. We'll see. If we look at the S&P here on the weekly chart, so it's got, spread this out a little bit here. Again, that same basic wave 3 pattern here hasn't quite reached the typical wave 3 target, and then 1700 begins its major weekly decision point resistance. Okay, so that's taken out this prior decision point resistance. We've gotten a close above that area. It traded above that area last week, and so that tells us it's going on to the next level of resistance, which will be initially this wave 3 around 1663, and then the major weekly around 1700. So those are your numbers there. If we want to project wave 4 here, let's just project that down here in the S&P. Okay, the top of that support comes around 1520, 1522 area. So if we do get a pullback there, we can anticipate support. Don't quite have strength on the STF in the in the S&P here like we do the Dow. All right, let's continue on. Let's look at the NASDAQ here. Let's just, I'll leave this on here, I guess. So obviously the NQ had that 5-wave pattern like all the markets did, but the NQ was the last one to take that wave 5 high out. We reached that decision point level last week. We looked at that in the weekly market update. Your maximum wave 5 target is out here. And I think that's all. Yeah, we don't have anything back there to work off of. So if we get a close now above this weekly decision point resistance, we kind of close right around the top of that level. We'll see if we get a close above that level and whatever the high is that week. If that high gets taken out, then we should be going on to the next level resistance there. All right, so we'll watch that. Again, no strength in the STF on the NQ. Well, let's go to we'll look at the euro here. So the euro, again, this has been, this is the daily chart here. So the daily is short. You see the target there at 26.74. You're going to have some support. Let me get my crosshairs here. Right around 29.20 here. Came close to that level. That's just a decision point out the wave B swing there. And then if we can get through that, if we close through that area below this area here, and that low gets traded below, that's pointing us down where we should be able to get to the target there. That's on the daily chart. Now the weekly chart is also short. All right, from this TS4 sell signal. And the 100% initial risk line has been achieved, so stops can be moved to break even for those that are short this on the larger time frame at 34.12 for a risk-free trade. And you see the target down here, 5 times the initial risk. So we'll see how this continues to play out. This, again, you'll have some support. Let's just take a decision point off of this wave B here. That'll come in, looks like right around that 25.35 level if we come down here. So we should, if it does come down here, we should anticipate that it may rally off of this area. Don't expect that it's going to go right through that area. And it may, may never get through that area, but that's why we call it a decision point. Here the market will need to make a decision. And if we do come down here, we'll have a little weekly head and shoulders pattern there as well. So that target from the neckline, just estimating, would be right about where this target is. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, let's get to gold. This is the daily chart of gold. We looked at this pattern last week. We came into our wave 4 there. You can see that. And it's starting to roll over there, which we did anticipate. I did anticipate that this rally into wave 4 may not, this wave 3 may not have been the bottom, whereas many are anticipating this may be the bottom in gold. I did think there was a chance based on the pattern here that we would rally and then roll over again. Let's project wave 5 down here. Let's go down wave 5. And okay, that puts these wave 5, this is the minimum wave 5 target here. Just make that a little bigger. It's hard to see this level here, but that will minimum wave 5. So it looks like they can hit the wave 5 target here without making a new low. All right, so that's going to come in around 13.26, 27 area, and you could actually be you'd be short the red seller's candle here in the wave 4 resistance. Let's just see if there's enough That'd give you about almost 4 times your initial risk there. Right, it's achieved the 100% initial risk line, which means you could move your stop to break even there for a risk-free trade. All right, silver. Let's see, that was the weekly of gold. I'm sorry, that was the daily of gold. Let me just pull up the weekly. Oh, there was a little minor 5 wave down here. But anyway, this is the area where that wave 4 correction comes in on the daily chart. That we'll watch there. So anyway, didn't anticipate that this would actually be the low. At least we have strength here on the weekly chart. That's why I think that this rally would be shallow into that daily wave 4 and then get some rollover. So we're starting to see that. We'll see if it follows through. Again, we don't need a new low, just basically a double bottom there in gold. So, and again, this is your futures and your paper gold are in the same boat. If you look at the actual physical prices of gold and silver, in fact, I bought more silver before the paper crash. I bought physical silver. I think it was 28.70, and even though silver, let's look at silver here. Even though silver around 23.70 here, the physical price is still, last I checked, was like around 28.72. And so basically physical, the price of the physical hadn't crashed, just the paper. And I think we're going to see ultimately that the physical price will take over and paper is going to get wiped out. All right, so silver, let's go to the daily chart here because that's the same pattern that we're looking at. Remember, we had our wave 4 here. We came right into that wave 4 on the rally off the lows, and then same deal here. Let's just project wave 5 down. Down wave 5, we got to go to the top of wave 1. Okay, so here's the wave 5 target. Now this means silver would need to make a new low to hit the minimum wave 5 target, which is down around 21.20. Where is that? Yeah, about 21.20 there in silver. So we closed around 23.70 on Friday. So it's kind of more consolidating here. It is obviously it's pulling back. So we'll see. We'll see if that continues. And if we get a new bottom here, then we might look at being buyers down here. We'll see what our if we get any high volume spikes that come in, any decision points. So we'll also take a decision point off of this level. So right in this area, we expect to find the next major support in silver here, and this DP will actually start around 21.70. So just ahead of that wave 5. So in here we should find some good support, and we'll see if we get any automatic trade setups that pop up in here. That might give us a nice 5 wave pattern down into a decision point support area as well, and we could anticipate then a rally at that point back to the wave 4 decision point here. So a rally back to around 25. And then the market will need to make a decision. If they take this $25, if this does play out and they take the $25 level out to the upside, we'll say 25 to 25.20 level out to the upside, then it's telling us they may erase this whole 5 wave pattern down to the upside. And then we'd actually be able to take a decision point off at the top of wave 1, and this would become the next target back around 33, almost $34. All right, but if this area holds as resistance, then the trend which was down prior should continue down. All right, so we'll see how this plays out. We'll watch it in conjunction with gold. All right, so I was going to check oil. I wanted to check oil, but my oil price chart is off. The data is off there. so I can't do that. We looked at the euro. All right, so we'll leave it there. Wish you all again wonderful Mother's Day to the mothers out there, and we'll take a peek. We do have some good economic data this week, so watch tomorrow. There's some data being released, and then I think the bulk of it on Wednesday and Thursday with the PPI and the CPI. I think retail sales maybe tomorrow. Housing sales I think on Thursday as well. New home sales. So we'll see what that brings. Should be a week where the market does move pretty well based on the economic data that's being released. So we'll check that out, and we'll be back next week. So have a great rest of your trading week. We'll see you then.